So I'll keep simple and short today's session. Okay.
No issues are. I think the recording is for 1 hour will be sufficient.
All right.
Going to, so
All right.
that will be done.
Yeah. So now see, next topic is so far what we have learned. We have learned in class there are 7 components available, right? So first is the instance variable, static variable, instance method, static method, instance block, static block, and constructor. Okay, so these are the few things that we can have inside the class. Okay, now we have covered each and every topic in detail. All right, so what is meant by instance block, what is meant by static block. All right, now see, next topic is that this keyword. Okay, now see, this keyword is also popular interview question. So you will get multiple questions on this keyword. Okay, so like what is this keyword? Okay, what is uses of the this keyword? Okay, when to use this keyword? All right, so this kind of question maybe came at the time of interview. Okay, so this is also important keyword when I mean you go for the Java interview. All right. So see, so far whatever topics we have learned. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to prepare one line definition, or you have to remember the one line definition for each and every topic. Okay, so for example, if I'm saying like this, right? So you should quickly, if someone is asking about the this keyword, right? So you should quickly tell the one liner definition. Okay, for that you should not, I mean, take a time to think, okay, what is mean by this? Okay, what should I tell about this? Right. So you have to prepare one line definition in your mind, or you have to uh, 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 for each and every topic you have to uh, uh, take one liner definition of that particular topic. Okay, so for example, this you have to tell like this is the reference variable. This is the reference variable. Okay, that refers the current class object. This is the reference variable, or you can say instead of, if you are feeling like reference variable is difficult for me, right? So you can say this is the keyword. This is the keyword in Java which refers the current class object. This is the reference variable which refers the current class object. So here what I'm saying, that this is the one keyword, or this is one reference variable available inside the Java. In that, what we can store? We can store the current class object. We can have the current class object inside the this. Okay. Now see, uh, we all know what is meant by object, right? So let's take the example. Okay, so maybe after this program, I will create the new package. So as of now, I will add in this class this package only. From next session onward, we will have separate package. Okay. So I'll say my package name, class name is this in Java. Okay. Now what I told about this, this is the reference variable which refers the current class object. Current class object. Now tell me, if I want to create the object of this particular class, how I am going to create the object of this particular class? So I'll say this in Java. Okay, this in Java, let's say t is equal to new this in Java. So this is how we are going to create the object. All right. But so for example, okay, so for example, I want to create the object of, let's say, so I'm having method m. Okay, I'm having one method, that is the m method. Okay, and in that particular method, I want to see, is there any requirement that I want to create the object, right? So instead of creating object of this particular current class, what I will say, I'll use the this keyword. So whenever you see this particular keyword, that means you are referring current class object. You are referring current class object here. Okay, so this means this particular class object, right? So tomorrow if I'm having another class, right? So let's say I'm going to the A class, right? So here if I'm referring the this keyword, that means I'm saying this class object. Okay, so currently I am in which class, that particular class object will hold the this keyword. Okay, so this is, yeah. So this is how it will work. Okay. Now there are couple of uses of the this keyword. Okay. So first use of this keyword is this can be used to refer the current class instance variable. This can be used to refer the current class instance variable. Okay. Now for this, what we will do, we will take one example. Okay. So for example, I'm having one class. Okay. So let's say my class name is student one. Why I'm saying one? Because student class is already there. So that's the reason I'm saying student one class. Okay, so let's say this is the student class available. All right. So now what are the different properties will student have? So student can have, so let's say int or maybe string. Okay. Let's say name. This yes should be the capital. And so let's say I'm not going to provide the name here. Okay, so what I'm planning here, okay, so I will create one construct. So same program I'm trying here, so that we have taken yesterday, right? So at the time of constructor, okay, I will make one student class, and for that I will have different properties. Let's say name, parameter. Sorry, let's say name, then roll number, so address. These are the properties of this particular student, right? But these properties I want to assign as soon as I'm creating the object. Okay, so for that, what I will do, I'll say student will have name and student will have roll number. So let's say int roll number. Okay, so this is the another property. So I'm having these two properties for the student. Okay, now I have to assign this particular property through the constructor. So I will create one constructor. So how to create the constructor? Student one. So this is the constructor of student, right? Student one, right? So I have created one constructor, student constructor. Right. But now I want to assign these properties. I want to initialize these properties. Okay. So what I will do, I will pass this as an argument. Okay. So I'll say int name. Okay. And sorry, not int name.
String
Yeah.
name.
String name, string name. And I will say int roll number, roll number. Right. So maybe I will do like this. Okay. Name is there. Right. Now how to initialize this particular variable. So I want to initialize this particular variable. So let's say I will say name equal to, so let's say name. Okay,
Mm.
name equal to name. Okay, and then I will say roll number equals to roll number. Right, roll number equal to roll number. So what I'm doing, basically whatever value will be receiving at the time of object creation. So let's say I will get the name. So I will assign this name to this name. Right. Whatever roll number I'm getting, I'm assigning that roll number to this roll number. Right. And so let's say create the object. So I will create one object, and at the time of creating object, I'll pass this parameter. Okay. So how to create the object? So I'll say student student one. Okay, so let's say s is equal to new student one, student one. Okay, and for student one we need a string. So let's say I'll say Amit. Okay, and roll number of Amit is 001. right? Now if I run this particular program, what will happen? So this object will get created. As soon as object is getting created, this constructor will get called. So that means this particular constructor will get called. And what this constructor will do? This constructor will assign the name is equal to whatever name is coming. So name is coming Amit. Okay, so Amit is going to assign to the name and roll number, right? So this roll number is going to assign the roll number, right? Roll number means this roll number. So this particular two variable, we haven't assigned any value. We are not initialize this particular variable, but through the constructor, we are trying to initialize these two variables. Okay. And when it will initialize as soon as object is created, right? So we have created object. So we got the two values, name and roll number, and those values we are assigning here. Right. Now see, we will create one more method to print the data as well, right? So how to print the data? So I will say, let's say I'm having method void print student data. Okay, so print student data is there in one method, and what it will do, it will print the student data. So let's say it's a name is equal to plus name, and it will say roll number equals to plus roll number. So basically it will print the name and roll number. Right. So for that I need to call this particular method. Okay. So as soon as object is created, these two values will get assigned and I will call this particular method so that it will print. Right. So I will say s dot print student data. Okay. S dot print student data.
Print
So
student
basically,
data.
yeah. So basically, when object is getting created, above value get initialized through the constructor. So in constructor, we are initializing this particular values, and this particular value will get values. Which value? Amit and 101. So basically, this is my assumption, right? But actually, what is happening? Okay, so if I run this particular program, okay, so it's saying name is equal to null and roll number is equal to 0. That means these two variable is not getting value. These two variables are not getting the value. It is just printing their default value. So still this time, this two variable is not initialized. It's just printing the default value. For the string, default value is what? Null. And for the integer, what is default value? 0.
0.
Right. So this is just printing the default values of your string and integer. Right. Now why this is not initializing? So previously we have seen, like, when we write the program like this, so maybe we will have student class. So where is my student class? Yeah, here is student, right? So if you see in student class, we are doing the same. So see, I'm saying I'm having student name and student name is equal to, I'm saying name. So what it is doing, whatever name coming from here, whatever name coming from this particular object. Okay, so what it is doing, this name is getting assigned to the student name. Student name means this name, this particular student name. Okay, and whatever ID I am coming here, this particular ID is getting assigned to the student ID. Okay, in that case, we have seen it is working perfectly fine. It is assigning the values as well as printing. So same program I am doing here, but it's not working. So what is the reason?
Ambiguity error.
Mhm.
Ambiguity error.
All right. So see, for this particular method, okay, so for this particular method, I'm saying name is equal to name. Okay, because here as well I'm saying name and this parameter as well name. So name, it's just getting confused. Okay, now you're saying name is equal to name. So what he will do, he will give the preference to the local variable. Okay, so first of all, I will say name. So it will say, okay, name. So I'm having here one name and here one name. Okay, but this is not mine here. Okay, so who is mine here? Mine here is this one. Which one? Local variable. So it will consider this local variable. Okay, so it's saying this particular local variable name is equal to name. Again, which name it will take? It will take the same name. So what I'm doing, I'm assigning the, I mean this name value to the name only. Okay, this particular variable will not came in picture. Why? Because we are not specifying, okay, which name I have to take. Okay, both the places, the variable name is same. Both the places, variable name is same, right? In that case, what this particular method will do, it will give the preference to the local variable. So it will never consider this particular variable. Instead of that, it will give the preference of the local variable. So it is assigning name is equal to name. That means this name is equal to name, and roll number is equal to roll number, because roll number is as well, we have roll number at the instance variable level and roll number as a local variable. So first preference he will give to the local only. Okay, so he said, like, roll number, you are saying roll number. Okay, I know the roll number, which is my local variable. It will not go to the instance variable. Okay, then again you are saying roll number. Okay, he will say, I know roll number, that is my local variable. So same value will get assigned to the same. Okay, but ultimately what I'm printing this particular variable, instance variable. Okay, so when I'm printing this particular variable, as of now this particular variable is getting values, these particular variables are getting values or not? Obviously not, right? Because here there is one confusion. Here there is one confusion, right? So I have to tell my compiler, or I have to tell, okay, JVM, that I want to assign value, okay, to the name. So what I will say, I'll say this dot name. So I have to tell, okay, if there is confusion, then I have to tell specifically, I want to use the these dot name. So when I'm saying like these dot name, what it will do? It will refer the instance variable. It will refer the instance variable. Which instance variable? So name, we have local variable as well as instance variable. Okay. Now there is confusion. Which variable should I take? Local variable, because if I'm not giving the this, right? So there is confusion. Which name you are talking about? So you haven't specified. Then in that case, always your local variable will get preference, because see, here is confusion, right? So this name and this name is exactly same variable, right? So in that case, Java will be confused, right? Which variable you're talking about, right? So if you want to talk about this particular variable, that is the instance variable, then you have to specify with the help of this keyword. So you have to specify these dot name, this dot name you have to specify. And once, see, when I'm saying like, these dot name, and I'm just selecting this particular variable. So if you see, it's pointing, or it is referring which variable? Your instance variable it's
Instant
referring,
level.
right? Now if I'm saying this dot roll number, okay, now if you see which roll number it's referring, instance
Instant
variable. Okay, roll number instance variable, it's just referring. And now if I'm selecting name, okay, which variable it's just referring? Local variable. Okay, when I'm saying roll number, which variable it's referring? My local variable it's referring. Local variable, that is the roll number. Now in this case, what will happen? Now my constructor will get called. Okay, and what it will do? It will assign this Amit and 101 value here to this name. Eh, So here this name value will be the, what parameter it will pass? What value it will pass? It will pass first of all, name is equal to Amit. And what will be the value of roll number? 1001.
1001.
Okay. Now this Amit, name is equal to Amit now, and roll number is equal to 1001, right? So here I'm saying local variable name. Okay, so what it will do, this Amit, So this variable value will be the Amit. So Amit will get assigned to the instance variable. That means this variable. Okay. Now roll number is the local variable. So roll number value is 1001. So this particular value will get assigned to the instance variable. So instance variable is this one. So whenever I am having confusion between local and instance variable, right? So in that case, to refer or to point instance variable, we use the this. Okay, whenever I'm having same name, okay, as a local and instance. In local and instance, I'm having same name. Okay, so in that case, if I want to refer to the instance variable, if I want to point to the instance variable, in that case, I will use the these dot variable name. These dot variable name. And this is the first use of this keyword. This is the first use of this keyword. Okay, now if I run this particular program, so it will print what? Name is equal to
Name is equal to Amit and roll number is equal to 1001.
exactly right. So it will print the roll number is equal to Amit. Sorry, name is equal to Amit and roll number is equal to 1001. So this will be the output. So any doubt here? Okay, this is the first use of your this keyword. Okay, so if you see, these can be used to refer the current class instance variable. Okay, what is the first use? These can be used. This means keyword this. Okay, these can be used to refer current class instance variable. So which is the current class? Okay, so this is the current class. Okay, and what are the current class instance variable? So these two are current class instance variable. So whenever I want to refer this particular current class instance variable, I will use this. I will use this. Okay. Now see, if for example my local variable is like this. Okay. So for example, I'm having student name. Okay. So in this case, there is no confusion, right? So for example, if I'm assigning this particular value to this, sorry, student name should be assigned here, right? Student name I'm assigning to this. Okay, so in that case, see, my local variable is name is student name and my instance variable name is what? Name. So there is no confusion, so no need to write this. Okay, so your compiler or your I mean JVM will automatically understand. Okay, name means instance variable name and student roll number, because you have I mean make the difference between local variable and instance variable. So in that case, perfectly fine if you're not using this keyword, right? But whenever you are having confusion, like same name of the local variable and same name of the instance variable, right? So in that case, you just have to compulsory specify this here to distinguish between your instance variable and your local variable.
Local
So
variable.
we can say these can, so this is the first use. These can be used to refer the current class instance variable. These can be used to refer the current class instance variable. Okay. So any doubt on this particular topic? So this point number one, anyone having any doubt? Okay. So let's move to the next topic. If you are having single doubt as well in this particular topic, you can directly ask me. Okay, no issue. Okay, but these are the important topics. Okay, at the time of interview, interviewer can ask, okay, what is the uses of this, right? So you should tell them, like, first use of this is to we can say that these can be used to refer the current class instance variable. This can be used to refer the current class instance variable. So this is the first use. Okay. Now what is the second use of this? Okay. So second use of this is this can be used to invoke the current class method. This can be used to invoke the current class method. Okay. Now, see, one can ask me, okay, like this. Okay, so you told us, okay, so if local variable name and instance variable name both are same, in that case we are using this keyword. But can I have, like, here my instance variable name is like, student name. Okay, student name, and roll number is like, student roll number. Student roll number. Okay, now see, question came maybe came in your mind. Okay, so you can ask, like, can I use this keyword now, okay, to refer this particular variable, right? So you can absolutely use, okay, to refer this particular keyword. Okay, so see, in this case what I will say, this dot student name and this dot roll number. Okay, so see here, no need to apply this keyword, because your JVM will directly understand, okay, which this you are talking about, sorry, which student name you are talking. Because see, there is difference between, your instance variable name is the student name and local variable name is name, right? So there is difference, right? But if you write code like this dot student name is equal to name, and this dot roll number is equal to, sorry, this dot student roll number is equal to roll number. Okay, so if you write the statement like this, okay, this is also fine, right? So no one going to, ask you why you are using this here. Okay, so this is absolutely fine. Okay, so ultimately what we can say, this is used to refer the current class instance variable. This is used to refer the current class instance variable. So this is the use number one of the this. Okay, now second use of this. What is the second use of this? So second use of this is that these can be used to invoke current class method. These can be used to invoke the current class method. Okay, so see, if I want to access the current class method, so how I am going to access the current class method? Usually, so let's say I'm having two methods, m1 and m2 method is there. Right, so how we are going to access the m1 and m2 method? Okay, so for example here, I'll take the two methods. Okay, don't consider the previous part. Okay, so let's say I'm having void m. So this is the method m. Okay, and I'm having one more method here. Right, so method name is void m2. So these are the two methods available, m1 and m2. Okay, or I will say m1 and m2. There are two methods available. All right. So now what I need to do, so see, both the methods are under the student class. Okay, so there is one student class available, and in this student class, there are two methods available. So there are multiple methods we have added, but see, consider these two only. Okay, so there are two methods available. Okay, now I am having requirement. I want to access this particular m1 method inside the m2 method. I want to access or I want to call this m1 method into the m2 method. Okay, so how I am going to call? Okay, so let's say I'm having some message here. So let's say system.out.println. So this is m1 method. Okay, so this is the m1 method. Okay, now this m1 method I want to call, or I want to basically I want to call from here. So I want to call m1 here. Call m1 here. Here. Okay, so far what we know, okay, so m1 and m2 method both are in the same class, both are in the same class. Then how we are going to call one method inside the another method? So there are multiple ways, right? So for example, you can create the object, right? You can create the object. So first thing that we can create the object. So how to create the object? Okay, so I will say I want to call here m1, right? So I will say, I'll say
Student
student
one
1
dot
s is equal to
system.
new
Student.
student, student, new student. Okay, and basically I will pass the values. Okay, so let's say I'll say A, B, C, and roll number is equal to I'm going to pass. Okay, so for example, roll number is 1, 2, 3. Okay, okay, but basically I have created one object. Okay, now can I say s dot m, s dot m, m1. Okay, now this is how we can access, right? See, I'm able to call this particular method here. I'm able to call this particular method here. M2 method I'm able to call here. Correct? Right or wrong? So this particular statement we can say call method, method. But see, now see, if you are having, okay, if your both the method are in same class, in that case, no need to create the object itself. This particular line is not required, right? Why? Because M1 and M2 are both are in same class. Which class? Student class. Both are in same class. Which class? Student class. Okay. So if both the methods are in same class, then we don't no need to create the object itself. So I'll not create object here. Object creation is not required, and even I will remove this as well. And still now I'm not getting error. I'm still able to access this particular method here. Right, right. I'm still able to access this particular method here. How? See, what we have learned that for the calling the method, we need to create the object. Okay, through the object you can call the method. Through the object we can call the method. Right. But here I'm not creating the object. Still, I'm able to call this particular M1 method and I'm not getting single error. How? Because see, if you write the method like this, if you are calling the method like this, see, M1 and M2 both are in same class. Okay, M1 and M2 both are in same class. And if you're calling the M1 inside the M2, in that case, your compiler is going to add here this. Okay, and what is mean by this? What is what is
Reference
this?
variable.
This
It's
is
a
the
reference
reference variable and which
variable.
hold current class object. So
Object.
here, when I'm saying this, it's not only this, it is holding the current class object. It is having current class object inside. So there is no need to create the object because this particular keyword is already having object inside. This particular keyword is having already object inside. So here, this particular keyword is already having object of which class? So currently we are in student class. So in current class object means student class object is already available inside this keyword, right? So now we are saying student class object dot m. Okay, like so this is similar to this. Okay, so here I am creating one s1 object, right? And here I'm saying like this dot m1. So this is one object. So s1 is one object, right? And through the s1 as well, we can call this particular method. So I will say s1 dot m1. Sorry, s dot m1, right? So s dot m1 means I'm creating object. So I'm calling the method here. So I can say this is the call to method. Call to method. So I'm calling this particular method. Okay. So here I am created. I have created one object, and through the object I am able to call this particular method. But both the method are in same class, then no need to provide the or no need to create the object. In that case, no need to create the object, right? Why? Because see, if you are not creating object and if you're saying simply, okay, I want to call, okay, if you're simply saying, I want to call this particular m method, in that case, this as well, you don't have to provide the this. Okay, so if you are not providing the this, in that case, your compiler is going to add here this. Okay, so your JVM will going to understand, okay, whenever saying this means current class object, means this class object, student class object, and in student class, you are saying M1 method. Okay, so actually we are calling this particular method through the object here. Okay, now if I write like this, okay, will it be run? If I write this, okay, will it be run? So let's call the M1 method. So how to call the M1 method here? So I will say, I will not call this particular method here. I'll just remove it, or maybe I will comment it. I'll comment it. Okay, and let's call this particular method. Okay, so how to call? So I can say s dot, which method I want to call? M2 method I want to call. Right. So M2 method I have called. So M2 method is called from your main method. So our execution always start from the main method. So it will create first object. Okay, so it will create the first object and then it will call the M2 method. So your call will get transferred to the M1 method. So inside the M1 method, we are calling the M2 method. So finally, this particular message will get printed. Right. See, from M2 method, you are calling M1 method, right? So call will get transferred to the M1 method and this particular message will get printed, right? So let's run this particular code and we'll see what is the output. So output is this is the M1 method. So if you're writing these dot M1 method, then it is completely fine. There is no issue because anyways, if you're not writing, your compiler is going to write. If you're not writing, your compiler is going to write because both the M1 and M2 method are in the same classes. Both the M1 and M2 method are in same classes, right? So in that case, this keyword is going to add your compiler by default in front of M1 method, right? So this is only if you are having both the methods in same class. Okay, so let's consider I am having class A, class B. So if you see here, I'm having class A and I'm having class B here. Class A and class B here, right? So in class A, let's say I'm having one method. In class A, I'm having let's say one method, print data method of so here I'm printing. This is the class B print data method, right? And let's say in class A as well, I'm having let's say print method. Okay, so let's say I will create one print method here. Print void print. Void print method is there. All right. And here I will say system dot out dot println. This is class B print method. Okay. Now tell me I want to access this
Class
particular
A,
print.
sir.
Sorry, class A. So now tell me if I want to print, I want to call this particular print method inside the class B. So inside the class B, there is one method, right? Print data method. So let's say here I want to call this print method. Want to call print method of class A, right? Class A. So that particular print method I want to call here. Okay. So how I am going to call this particular print method here?
By creating the object.
Exactly. We need to create the object. Okay. So one thing we got, okay, any method if you want to call, for that you need to create the object. Any method you want to call in another class, you have to create the object. Okay. Only that method should not be static, right? Static method we are going to call with the help of class name. Okay. If you are having non-static method, right? And you want to access one non-static method into the another non-static method, and scenario is that both the methods are in different classes. Both the methods are in different classes. So one method in class A and one method is class B. One method is inside the class A and one method is inside the class B. In that case, what will happen? If I want to call that particular method from the class A, I need to create the object of which class? Because see, this print method is available inside the class A. The print method is available inside the class A, right? So here inside the class B, I have to create that particular method. So how to create?
class
So I will say
A,
class A,
A,
class A is equal to new
class A,
class A, new class A. Okay, so now this is object is created for class A, and inside the class A there is one print method available. So I will say a dot
A,
print. I will say a dot print, right? So now I am able to call method from class
A,
A. How? First I have to create the object. Create object. First I have to create the object. Now one point we got to know that for the calling the method, compulsory we have to create the object. But now our scenario is different. What is our scenario? Our scenario is that we have we have we have one class. Okay, and in single class we have two methods. In same class we are having two methods. In same class we are having two methods. So in that case we don't have to create the object. See, this both the method are non-static. Both the methods are non-static. So this particular method is non-static and this particular method is non-static. So I don't need to create the object here. Simply if I want to call this particular M1 method, what I will do? I will say M1. No need to use this or something like that. But if you are not using this, your compiler is going to use this here. Okay, and this means current class object. So this M1 as well, we are going to call with the help of object itself. So to call the M1 itself, here as well required to use the object. Okay, but if you are not using, that is also fine. And if you are using, that is also fine. Why? Because your compiler is going to add this statement. So usually you can see if you are having two methods in same class, in that case people are calling the methods like this. Okay, they are not using object, they are not referring something using some reference variable or something like that. Okay, how they are able to call this? Because see, uh, your compiler is going to add here this, and this is holding what? This is holding what? What is inside
current class
this?
object,
Inside the
current
this
class
there is
object,
the current class object. Okay,
object.
so basically main funda is that we are calling this M1 as well with the help of object, okay, which is inside the this. Okay, we are calling this particular method with the help of this. You mention or you don't mention. Okay, compiler is going to add. Okay, so this is the second use of this keyword. This is the second use of this keyword to call current class method. To call current class method. Okay, if I want to explicitly call any method with the help of this, I can call. So see, explicitly I'm saying, okay, I don't need to give the this here, but if I'm saying this dot m1 method, right? So it will not, I mean, our compiler is not going to cry. Okay, why you are using this here? Because he knows if you're not adding, then I have to add. Okay, if you're adding, that's fine. Okay, so this is the second use of this keyword. This is the second use of this keyword. What? This is used to call current class method. This is used to call current class method. Why I'm saying current class? Because see, this M1 and M2, both the methods are in same class. So here I'm saying I'm accessing the current class method. Which current class method? Student method. Okay, so current means where M2 method is available inside same class, there is M1 method is available. So I'm saying I'm accessing the current class method here. Current class M1 method. So if you want to access the current class method, you can call that particular method with the help of this keyword. With the help of this keyword. Clear this particular statement? So second use of this is clear for everyone or not?
Hello,
Yes.
sir. this is automatically added with the method.
Hmm?
But why it is not added with the variable with the same scenario?
Hmm.
This is by default added by compiler in the another method if we call in the same class. But if we
Right.
have created
So
the different
automatically,
variables,
or we can say the compiler will add it. Okay. So compiler will add it automatically here. Okay. So you were saying here compiler is adding this keyword automatically, right?
yes,
Right.
but
So
it is
why
not
why do
added by compiler for the variable for the
for the
reference
variable
variable.
it's not adding? You are saying like this, right?
Yes, sir.
See, for the variable compiler, how compiler it will decide. So see, if I want to write the logic like this, okay. So for example, here I want to write the logic. Okay, so here I'm saying name is equal to let's say uh, name plus. So let's say I'll say JR. I want to add the junior. Okay, here. What is the issue here? Okay, so for example, I want whatever name, local name is coming in that local name, I want to add junior here. Okay, and whatever roll number is coming for that roll number, I want to do some modifications. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to let's say uh, add uh, let's say 00 after that. Okay, maybe that kind of requirement, or we need to modify this particular thing. Okay, so I'll say name roll number is equal to roll number. Okay, and plus let's say, or maybe I will say uh, or that's fine with the roll number. I don't want to do any modification. Let's take only one example. Okay, so for example, for the name I want to add here junior, right? Now if you saying like why it is not considered, so for example here as well I'm having name, here as well I'm having name, and here I'm having roll number. So both the instance variable name and local variable name is same now. Now here is your logic. Actually, you are writing the logic. What logic you are adding? So my expectation is that whenever I print the name, right? So in front of name, the JR or juniors will be attached. Right. So that's the reason what I did. I said like this local name is equal to whatever local name coming plus you can add the JR. Okay. And now I want to print this particular thing. Okay, so I will say print what? Name. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll say name is equal to plus name. Okay, and if I run this particular program, okay, so here are the issues. It will not run because we have one method in that you are printing that, right? So for example here, right, roll number is equal to. Okay, so I'm printing it here. Okay, and let's say I'm not calling this m2 method as well here. Okay, so I just created constructor. As soon as constructor is run, so this particular name should be print, right? Okay, okay. So now if you see in front of name, I have added the JR, right? So here, if my compiler will automatically take this, okay, what will happen? What will happen? This particular value will get assigned to this one, but here exactly I don't want to assign, right? So this thing I have to decide, okay, which variable I have to refer, if I have to refer this particular variable or if I have to refer this particular variable. So this particular thing I have to decide. My compiler should not decide. Otherwise, it will be problematic for me. Okay, so whenever I'm saying these dot name, then it should refer to this particular name. But whenever I'm not saying like this, So it should refer the local variable. So compiler should not decide this. So that's the reason compiler will not add automatically this here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So this is the, we have seen the two uses of this. Okay. So first use is this is used to refer the current class instance variable. Okay. Second one is the, this is used to call, invoke and call is same. Okay. You can say this is used to invoke the current class method implicitly. Why I'm saying implicitly? If I'm not adding, compiler is going to add. But if I want, I can use the this dot method name and I can call that particular method in the current class. Okay. So this can be used to invoke the current class method. So this is the point number 2. Now point number 3 is very important.
Uh, Hi Ajay,
Uh-huh.
Avinash here.
Mhm.
Can we use is that can we invoke the static method by using this keyword?
No. So if you remember the static, when we are learning about the static, right? So what I
Yes.
told about the static last
This and
statement,
super should not be, this and should not be used in the static. This and super
context,
keyword.
Yes.
context,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So this and super should not be used in static constant, right? So very good point. Okay. So using this, you cannot call the static method. Okay. So let's
Okay.
do this particular, because see, static is related to what? Static is related to your object or
Main
class.
class,
Class variable.
Class.
Static is related to your class.
class,
And
Class.
whenever I'm saying like, instance,
main,
it is related to your object. Okay. Now this is related to your object as well, right? Because it's
Yes.
holding the current class object, right? So that's the reason, whenever we are saying static, it's not having any relationship with the object. This is your related to your object, and static is related to your class. Okay. So now whenever I'm saying like, static, this is only related to your class. There is
Okay.
no need to, I mean, having any relationship with your object. So there, this static is not having any relationship with the object. Okay. So for example, if I'm having static method, right? So for the static method, uh, so for example, I make this particular method as a static.
Okay.
Okay. If this particular method is static. Okay. So now see, it's not giving any error. Okay. But it's giving one warning. What warning it's giving? Static method M1 from the type student should be accessible in the static way. So it's saying like, you can access like this only, but this is not a correct way. Okay. So here it will not give any error, but this way of accessing is not correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
ideally static method, how you can access? Static, if it is static
By
method, right? So simply you can access like this because this is in same class, right? So you can access like
N1.
this. That is fine. Right. If I run this. So see, I'm not printing this particular method here, but your answer to your question is like, we can use these here,
this.
but this is not correct way of see, because see, when this particular, so for example, if it is static method, right? So if it is static method, so this is actually related to your class. That means whenever class will get loaded, all the variables from this particular method will be get initialized. Okay.
Okay.
And
Yep.
after that object is going to create. After that object is going to create. So after that you are saying like, I want to, use this particular. So this is not correct way. Okay. It will not give any error, but this is not correct way of
Yep.
accessing. Okay.
Yep.
Now,
Sir, if we
uh,
run this, then the
it will run. It
method
will
will
run.
invoke
It will run. Yeah, it will
with the
invoke.
both ways, this float M1 and
Yeah, yeah. But the with the both way it will work. It will not give any error. Why? Because see, if I'm having static method, can I call the what I told about the static method? How we can access the static method? What is the correct way of accessing the static method?
Any class name or method name or directly we control the
Right.
methods.
So static method
Class name,
always you have to access with the help of what? Object
class
or
name,
class name? Class
class
name.
name,
So ideally I should access this particular method like this
student
student
dot
dot
print pointer.
m1. So this is the correct way of accessing this particular method. This is the correct way of accessing this particular method. So static method you can access with the help of a class name. All right. But see, if I'm saying, if I'm creating object of student, S is equal to new student. If I'm creating the object student, S1 is equal to new student. Okay. So I have created the object of student. So student is having two parameters. So first parameter is the string, let's say this one, and second parameter is, let's say, integer number. Okay. So I have created the object of student here, right? Now can I say s dot m1? Will it give me any error? Because
No,
see, m1 is the static method and I am accessing the static method with the help of object. So guys, here it will not give any error. It will give warning. What warning it will do? What warning it will give? Same warning. So when I'm calling the method with the help of this, I got one warning. So static method should call with in static way. Static method should call in static way. So same method I'm saying I'm creating here object. I'm creating here object and through the object I'm accessing the static method. But ideally static method should access with the help of class name. But here I will not get any error. And even if I run this particular program, it will run absolutely fine, right? But I'll get the warning. And what this warning is saying? This warning is saying static method m1 from type student1 should be accessed in static way. So it's saying like, there is a specific way of accessing the static method. Okay, so you should use that particular way if you want to access the that particular static method. So static method always we are going to use access with the help of class name. So similarly, if I am able to access this with the help of object of the student class. So in my this as well, there is one object of current class. In my this as well, object of current class available, right? So it will allow me, but it will give the warning. What warning it will give? Static way. You should access the this particular method with the help of static way. Static way you have to use. Okay, and what is the static way of accessing the method? With the help of class name. With the help of class name you have to access. Clear?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, uh, okay, so one point came here. Okay, so these this and super cannot be used in static con context. Okay, what it means? So, for example, I'm having some static method. Okay, so inside this particular static method, suppose I'm using this dot. Now I want to call this m2 method, right? So if I'm saying like this dot m2 m2 method is there, right? So I'm saying like I want to call this dot m2. So for example, I'm not calling this particular method here. Now it will give me error. What error it will give? Okay, so it's saying like it will say like you are inside the static method, and inside the static method you cannot use this and super. Okay, cannot use the this cannot use this in static context. Cannot use this in static context. So you will get the error. Okay, so always remember if your method is the static method, so in that particular static method, you should not use this. You should not use the super. Super we will cover in upcoming session. Okay, but
Sir,
this point you have to remember.
if we make M2 as static and after that we will call.
See, okay, static. In that case as well, it will not see static. What I told you, if your method is static, okay, in that case, you cannot use this and super in that particular method. Okay, so anyways, if you are making this particular method as well static, in that case, it will not allowed to use this particular this here. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so inside this method, you should not use this and super keyword. Okay, so what is the first use of this keyword?
For current class variable refers to the current class object.
First is this is
Yes.
used to refer
Current
current
class means
class
variable,
instance
variable.
instance variable. So first use of this is to refer the current class instance variable. What is the second use of this?
Current class method.
To invoke the current class method or to call the current class method explicitly. Explicitly means compiler is going to add this dot that particular method name. But if you don't, I mean, if you want to add this dot that method, you can add like that. Okay, there is not an issue. Okay, and third and last use of this is okay. Actually, this is not last use. There are two more uses of this keyword. Okay, but if you want to remember, you can remember. But these three you should tell. Okay, if someone is asking, this three is must to tell. All right. So third use of these. Okay, these can be used to invoke the current class constructor. What is mean by invoke? That means call. Okay, so this is used to invoke the current class constructor. Okay, so let's do one thing, create one class. Okay, so I will give that particular class name as, okay, so let's do one thing. I'll create the package 2 now. Okay, so package 2 I have created, and inside I'm creating one class. I'll say class A. A is my class name. Okay, so I have created one class A. Okay, so inside this particular class, I have couple of constructors. So how to create the constructor of class A? What I need to say? A bracket. So this is the how many argument constructor?
Zero argument.
Zero argument constructor. All right. So I'll say this is zero arg constructor. Okay, so zero arg constructor is this. All right. So now if I want to create one arg constructor, I will pass one argument. Okay, I'll pass one argument constructor. So I'll say int, let's say a, or maybe I will say int a or g or anything you can add. Okay, so I'll say int a or arg, which both are fine. Okay, so basically I'm having two constructor. So first constructor is a zero arg constructor, and second one constructor is a one argument constructor. Right. So these are the two I mean constructor so far I am having. Okay, so if I want to call this particular constructor, how I am going to call this particular constructor? How I am
Creating the
going to call?
object.
I have to create the object. Right. So let's create the
Yes.
object a of a is equal to new a.
Yeah.
Now which constructor will call? We have two constructors, zero arc and one arc. So as I'm not passing any argument here, so zero arg constructor will get called. If I run this particular program, your zero argument constructor will get called. Okay. Now, can I call this particular constructor from this particular constructor? Okay. So this is possible if you want to call, because see, my call is going where? My call is going here. Right. So inside this particular constructor, if I want to call this particular constructor, we can call with the help of this. Okay. So you have to say this and you have to provide the brackets, and in bracket, you have to provide the argument. Right. So this is one argument constructor and argument is integer argument. So that's the reason I'm passing this here, this and argument, because ultimately what this is referring, what is having inside this is having object. Okay. So assume that we are creating the object, and for that object, I'm passing the 10. I'm creating the object of class A, and for that object I'm passing the value 10 integer. So it will check inside the class A, is there any constructor available which is having one argument, which is the integer argument, one integer argument. Okay, so is there any constructor available which is having one integer argument? So there is one integer argument constructor is available. Right. So this particular constructor will call. So if I run this, what will be the output? So I'll say this is the one arg. Okay, so if I run this, what will be the output? So you will create the object, right? So object is created for the zero argument. So here zero argument constructor will get called, but in zero argument constructor, what you are calling? You are calling the one argument constructor, right? So one argument constructor will call. So first it will print one argument constructor. So once this is finished, your call will get transferred to here, line number 6. And after the line number 6, it will print the line number 7. So zero argument. So first one argument constructor, then zero argument constructor will get printed. Okay, so first one argument constructor and then zero argument constructor is getting printed. Right. So can I have one more constructor? Okay, so I'll say I'm having one more constructor and it is having two parameters. So let's say int a, comma, int b. I can have float values as well. Okay, for the constructor. I can have a string value as well. I can have Boolean values as well. There is no restrictions. Okay, but I'm taking the integer here. Okay, you can take float, Boolean, whatever you want. Okay, you can take an array as well as argument. Okay, there is no issue. Correct. So this is the one uh, more constructor I have created, and I'm saying this is the two argument constructor. Two argument constructor. This is my two argument constructor. Here I'm just printing the two arg constructor. Right. Now if I want to call this particular constructor from this particular constructor, how I have to call?
We need to mention the this keyword with the two values, two integers.
Two arguments. Yeah.
Correct. So you have to say here this, and you have to pass the two argument here. So 10, comma 20. Okay. Now what will be the output? So see, we are creating the one object here, which is the zero argument constructor. So initially with constructor call, it will call the zero arg constructor. Okay. On the first line, we have written the these 10. So that means we are calling the constructor with the value one integer. Okay. So it will call this particular constructor. But in this constructor, again, we are calling which constructor?
Two
Two
argument.
argument constructor. So call will get transferred to the two argument constructor. Call will get transferred to the two argument constructor. So output will be the two argument constructor will be get printed. Then call return to the one argument constructor. So this particular message will get printed. Then your call will transfer to the here line number 6, and then line number 7 will get printed, and then it will end your program. Okay. So output will be the two argument constructor, one argument constructor, and zero argument constructor. Two argument, one argument, and zero argument. Now if I'm having one more constructor, Okay, you got the idea, right? How to call the constructor inside the constructor, right? So for example, so see, someone can ask, can I use this particular keyword to call the constructor in the method? So in method, it's not allowed. In method, you are not allowed to write this, and you want to call the constructor. So from the method, you cannot call the constructor. From the method, you cannot call the constructor. Okay, this particular keyword, this particular keyword or this particular statement is applicable for only constructor. Okay, now one more constructor I will take. Okay, for example, I'm taking one more constructor, and for that constructor I'm passing the three argument. Okay, so I'll say I'm having three argument constructor. Okay, and I'll say three argument constructor. Okay, now uh, can someone tell me how this constructor we are going to call here? We have to say this, and in this what we need to pass?
Three integer.
Three arguments.
Three integers.
Three integer argument we have to pass, right? So I'll say 10, 20 and 30. 10, 20 and 30. Okay, now what will happen? Inside this two argument constructor, three argument constructor will get called, right? So you can call from any constructor to any constructor, but always remember this constructor calling line should be your first line, should be your first line in your constructor. So this is my one constructor, and in this constructor, this particular line should be the first line. Okay, suppose if I cut this particular line and if I add this particular line here, immediately it will give the error. What error it is giving? Okay, constructor call must be the first statement of a constructor. Okay, so in constructor, it should be the first statement. Okay, so always remember this particular line you have to add as a first uh, line. Okay, now if I run this, it will give the correct output. Okay, I will not run. Okay, so it will give the correct output, that is the three argument, two argument, then one argument and zero argument, like this. This will get. Now if you see, I am making the chain. I am making the chain. From the zero arc, I am calling the two arc. From the two arc, I am calling the three arc. From the three arc, I can call the, let's say, four arc, five arc. So from the one constructor, I'm calling another constructor. Another constructor, I'm calling the one more constructor. From that constructor, I'm calling the one more constructor. So we can say this is I'm making the chain. I'm making the chain. And this particular concept is called as the constructor chaining. This particular concept is called as the constructor chaining. So with the help of this keyword, what we can do? We can make the constructor chaining. Constructor chaining. Okay, so everyone got the idea what is meant by constructor chaining?
Yes, sir. I am getting but little confused with the uh, response with with the console, like the how it print two argument initially and zero
Okay,
argument.
okay. So we'll do one thing.
Because I am
Okay,
not able to see the block of code which where it is starting and where it is ending.
okay. So you're from laptop or mobile?
I'm from laptop. I'm from laptop.
Okay, okay, perfect. Okay. Now see what we did. I'll just walk you through the program. Okay. So we have class A. Okay, we have created the class A. In that particular class, first constructor, we have zero argument constructor. Okay, as of now, just forget which constructor I'm calling what. Okay, so basically in one class, we are having one constructor. That is the first constructor is the zero arg constructor. Second constructor, one arg constructor. Third constructor, two argument constructor. Okay, then one more constructor, that is a three argument constructor. So basically this four constructor I'm having inside the class A, inside the class A. Now what I'm creating,
Okay.
I'm creating inside the main method. What I'm creating inside the main method? I'm creating the object of class A. Okay, and in that particular class A, there are three constructors are there. All right, but by default, which constructor I'm calling here? I'm calling the zero argument constructor. If you see,
Yes.
Which constructor we are calling? Zero argument constructor is
Zero.
we are calling, right? So what will happen? Okay, what I will do, I will add, I will add debugger here. Okay, and I'll say debug as a Java application. Okay, now see, object is getting created, object is got created, right? So initially control will transfer to here. So see, control is here now. This particular, green highlighted line means your control is transferred here, right? My control is here now, right? Now, if I say step in, so where I am going? So see, I am going inside the,
Integer first integer.
that is the argument one constructor I am going, right?
Yes.
Now here,
Yes.
what I'm saying, this dot 10 comma 20, this dot 10 comma 20. What it means? I'm calling the another constructor from here. Which constructor is this? The
Two
constructor which
argument.
is having two argument, right? So if I go inside this, okay, so which is calling another constructor. So see, my control is transferred here, two argument constructor. So here, this is the first argument and this is the second argument, right? So two argument constructor, my control is transferred, right? Because see, it's not printing anything as of now. Why? Because before printing, your control is getting transferred to the another constructor. Before printing, your control is going transferred to the another constructor. Right. So now we are here. Right. So now what will happen here? Here again, I'm saying these dot three argument. I'm passing three argument for this. What it means? I'm calling here, from here, I'm calling three argument constructor. From here, I'm calling the three argument constructor. Okay, so I will say step in here as well. Okay, so if you see, our control is transferred to the three argument constructor. Okay, now tell me here, am I calling any another constructor from this particular constructor? From this constructor, am I calling any constructor, another constructor in this constructor?
No,
No.
I'm not calling anything, right?
no.
So what will happen? It will print this particular line first, right?
Yes.
So if I say step in, okay, so it just print the this particular line. So if you see, three arc constructor is getting printed. Okay, now see, this is the end of the constructor. Now if it is end, then where control should transfer? So for this constructor, who is called?
Two
Second,
argument.
Two
two
argument
argument.
constructor called, right? So from here, your call will transfer to the two argument constructor. Okay, if I say, okay, so if you see, call is transferred to whom? Two argument constructor. Because see, two argument constructor is called this particular constructor, right? So I have to return the that particular method again. If my
Yes.
this work is finished, I have to go to the whoever is calling me, right? So this particular constructor called me, right? So I have to return that particular constructor again, right? So now if I say, it will print what? Two argument constructor is printed, right? Now here, if you see, two argument constructor ends here, right? So if I run this, our call will transfer to the whom?
Two argument.
One argument. So we
One
are
argument.
inside the two
Yeah.
argument constructor, right?
Yes.
So one argument constructor called this particular two argument constructor. So our call will transfer to the one argument constructor.
Yes.
So see, one argument constructor. All right. So if I run this, okay, so it will call will transfer to the whom? Zero argument constructor.
Zero.
Our call will transfer to the zero argument constructor. Right. And now who called the zero arg constructor? Guys, who
Okay.
called? Who called zero
By
arg constructor?
Our
object
object that we have
Object.
object
created.
Object, right?
create
Where we created object,
in the main method.
right? So our call should be transferred to whom?
Main
main
method.
method.
Main method, right? So if I say print this, so zero arg constructor is printed, and once this execution of one argument constructor is completed, our call is transferred to whom? Main
Oh,
method. If you
main
see
method.
main method, right? So if I say run, then main method execution will done because we haven't write anything inside the main method. And once this is completed, then we can say complete execution of program is done. Now any doubt in execution, how it is executing?
Ajay, I have one doubt. If we make that zero argument like a three arguments, we passes, so it won't execute the other second and first and second. It will execute only zero, third
Right,
and second
right,
argument.
right. So you are saying like, can I make here,
Yeah,
let's
here like
say
three
three
arguments.
argument, three
Uh-huh.
arguments. So it will not call the, it's
Other two
totally depend
arguments.
on other two it will not call. Okay, it's totally depend on how you want to call. Okay, if you don't want to call this particular two constructor, then it will skip. Okay, it will not going to call this particular constructor. Right, so it will direct call this particular constructor. So execution will be like, okay, zero argument constructor will call, and inside the zero argument constructor, you are calling the three argument
Three
constructor. So
arguments,
your
yeah.
call will be transferred to the three argument constructor. It will print the message three argument constructor. Again, call will transfer to the one argument constructor. So it will print the message. Sorry,
Zero
call will
argument.
transfer to zero argument constructor. It will print the message zero argument constructor, and that's it. It's totally depend how you're calling. But this particular technique is called as the calling the constructor inside the constructor, calling constructor inside the constructor. This is called as the constructor chaining. At the time of interview, interviewer can ask, what is meant by constructor calling? Sorry, constructor chaining. What is meant by constructor chaining or what is constructor chaining? So you have to tell them constructor chaining means calling the constructor inside the constructor. How do you call the constructor inside the constructor? With the help of this keyword. Okay, so this is the third use of this keyword. Okay, we can call constructor. To call the constructor, we can use the this keyword.
Hello.
Uh-huh.
Sir, can we write this to A for calling the constructor?
This,
Dot A and then argument.
this,
This dot capital A and then argument.
this dot,
A
this dot what?
constructor name.
A.
A capital A.
Uh-huh. Like this.
Yes, yes.
No, no, like this is not available. Okay, so you cannot call like this dot A and then like this, right? So this is not allowed. Okay, we cannot use this. Okay, so this is the third use of the this keyword. Okay, so one point you have to remember here. Okay, so what I'm doing basically here, from the zero arc, I'm calling one arc. From one arc, I'm calling the two arc. From the two arc, I'm calling the three arc. Can I call from the three arc to zero arc? Can I say like this? Okay, so like say this, like this. So it will call the zero arc constructor. So is it possible? If it is yes, then why you think it is possible? If it is no, then why it should not be possible? So I want to call from here zero argument constructor. Is it possible? So let's write. Okay, so I'll say this here. So basically zero argument constructor I'm calling here. So I'm getting here error. What error I'm getting? Recursive call constructor invocation. Recursive means it will go in infinite loop. It will go in infinite. How? because see, from A, sorry, from object creation, we are calling the zero argument constructor. From zero, we are calling the one argument constructor. From one argument, we are calling the two argument constructor. From two argument, again we are calling the three argument constructor, and from the three argument, we are calling the one argument constructor. That means again I am calling this particular constructor, and from this constructor again I am calling the zero. So it will make the cycle. It will make the cycle. Okay, so it will make the cyclic execution, and it will never come from this particular cycle. Okay, so
Sir, but you haven't mentioned that all constructor inside. matlab, if you haven't made the chain of that
sorry,
constructors, then you can able if you haven't made the chain of that constructors, like the you have call inside one constructor,
you can make the chain,
inside
but
one
you
constructor.
cannot make the
If,
cycle.
but if you didn't make a chain, okay, just you haven't called anyone inside the anyone, okay,
Mhm.
and then you uh, by the end of the like the three argument constructor where you can call it or not.
Right. So for example, if I'm not calling this, right? I'm
Uh-huh.
not calling this, right? So immediately if you see, it's not giving the error because see what I'm doing here, let's say I'm calling the zero argument, sorry, zero argument constructor here. Okay. Then see the one argument, then in third argument, I'm calling the three argument constructor, I'm calling this particular. So here chain is not making, or we, sorry, not chain, cycle is not making. Okay. Now take a two constructor example. Okay. So let's we have only two constructor. Okay. Let's take these two constructor in focus only. Okay. So one constructor that we have zero argument constructor, and one constructor that we have one argument constructor. So zero argument and one argument constructor that we have only. Okay. So what I'm doing here, I'm calling the one argument constructor from the zero argument constructor. So this is zero argument constructor. I'm calling here one argument constructor, and from the one argument constructor again I'm calling the zero argument constructor. So here we are making cycle or not? Here if I call this, right? So here obviously I'm making the cycle. How? See how it will be executed. It will be like, from the zero argument constructor, I'm calling the uh, from zero argument constructor, I'm calling the one argument constructor. Control will transfer to the one argument constructor, and from one argument constructor, I'm calling again zero argument constructor. So it will be again from the come to the zero argument, and again from the zero argument, I'm calling one argument constructor. So call will transfer here, and again from here, I'm calling this particular constructor. So it will make the cycle. Okay, and it will never came from this particular cycle. So your compiler will immediately give the error. Okay, you are making the cycle here. Okay, so cyclic execution should not be there, or we can say the recursive execution should not be there. Clear? Otherwise, you can call any constructor from any
Yes,
constructor.
sir.
On
Clear.
okay, but don't make the cycle. Clear?
Yes, sir. Also, sir, we
Okay.
can write instead of this with the constructor name and the argument, right?
No, you have to create the object then. Okay, if you don't want to
My
use
question
this,
is, my question is A braces 10. Then we call the first argument constructor.
this dot like this,
Instead
right?
of this, we can use directly A capital A brace
Like
10.
this.
No, no, in the braces, yes, 10 first argument 10 1 0.
Like this.
Yes, yes. We can call this.
No. So here if you want to, I mean, call any constructor like this, you have to compulsory create the object. So you have to say a a of a is equal to new a.
Okay, so
Okay, through the object you can call. Otherwise, you have to say like this. Okay, new and like this. This is allowed. Because see, whenever new keyword is there, that means you are creating object. And now if you are creating object, okay, so this particular statement will create the object. If you are creating the object, then it is called, it is allowed. Okay, so from this constructor you are going to call this particular constructor. And see
But here,
here I'm
but here
here,
we have not given the object name.
sorry,
We have not given the object name, sir.
object name is not necessary. It is for our reference. It is not necessary always you have to give the object name. Because
Okay.
why I'm giving the object name, because I want to use that particular object name somewhere, right? So for example, I'm creating the a of a is equal to new a, and with the help of a I'm saying like a dot. So basically whatever it will return, so it will return one object, right? So that object I'm storing in one area variable, so that particular variable I can use somewhere. So let's say I want to call method, right? So I will say a dot, and I will give the that method name. So that's the reason I'm storing somewhere. It's not necessary always you have to store, right? Now see here, one thing is there. Okay, so from here, which method I am calling? So which
Class.
constructor will get called, right? Zero arc constructor will get called, right? So inside zero arc constructor, which method, which constructor I am calling? So let's say one argument constructor, and in one argument constructor, again I'm calling this. Okay, so in this case, I think it will go in cycle and it will hang. So let's run this. We'll see what happens. Okay, it's giving the error, but see, see, it's still executing, I think. Okay, but it's executed multiple time, and finally it's give the error. What? It's giving the stack overflow error. That means it's executed multiple time, but it's not able to generate the output. Why? Because from this constructor I'm calling this is from I'm calling this I'm calling this. So it is becoming cycle, right? So here I can able to make the cycle. Why? Because I'm not using this here. If I'm using this here, so compiler will immediately understand, okay, you're making cycle, but here it's not, he's not getting the idea. Okay, am I making the cycle or not? Okay, but let's say if I'm not having this particular line, okay, so what will happen? Object will get create, it will call zero argument constructor, and from the zero argument constructor we are calling the this particular constructor. So basically here I'm creating object, so this is normal. Okay, this is not I'm doing something different. Okay, so from this line it will call this why this is zero, barabar. Right, it's saying like one argument constructor, that means this line is printed, and call will transfer again here, and it's saying like zero argument constructor. So this is not a different thing, this is just object creation, only we are not storing that object into the variable. Clear? Clear what is meant
Yes,
by
sir.
this? So last use of this is what? To call,
Invoke the constructor.
right,
Invoke
invoke
the
the constructor. Invoke the constructor. Okay, so this is used to invoke the constructor. So what is three use of this? So first one is the first in is one is the this is used to refer the current class instance
instant
variable,
variable.
right? So this is the first use. Second use of this is used to invoke current class method.
Methods.
And third use of this is used to invoke current class constructor. Okay, so apart from these three, there are I mean a few secondary uses of this as well. Okay, so you can pass this as a written type. You can pass this as a argument to the method. You can pass this as a written type of the method. Okay, so maybe tomorrow I will show you. Okay, but don't go in that particular. If you're I mean getting confused here, right? So don't look at this other 3 points. I'll tell you, but I mean, if you're it's making confusion for you, then don't go for it. Okay, but I will tell you in tomorrow's session. Okay, So I think let's stop here. Okay, and we'll meet tomorrow. Okay, thanks. I'll not take any I mean question answer today. Maybe you can ping me or you can WhatsApp me if you're having any doubt. I'll answer tomorrow.
No.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you, Ajay.
thank
Bye.
yeah, thanks. Bye bye.
Okay. Thank you, Ajay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.